Oh shit, here we go again.
Low, low, man. Low, low, man.
You like contracts, right? You're a contract guy.
I read contracts instead of conventional pornography, yes.
I'm back. What's up, guys? It is Legal Mindset, where teacher to be your own judge. Hope you guys are having a good time. There's some scufftastic. Scufftastic today would be popping in and out in the videos and whatnot. You know, it wouldn't be a stream without me scuffing it. But anyways, Andrew Esquire, Legal Mindset, teacher to be your own judge. Glad to be here tonight talking about this topic. Now, I'll start out reading some super chats and I'll catch up with some comments in the beginning. But overall, please chat be a little bit more sensitive today. I know we like to normally have very lively discussion and very, sometimes we can have fun on my channel. We really can. But today is a extremely sensitive topic for a lot of people. So do try to be very sensitive. And we're talking about something very, very serious. This is incredibly serious. It is so serious that I was debating whether to do this or not, because whenever you talk about this on YouTube, YouTube doesn't like it. And it doesn't matter if you're just talking about the law. YouTube just doesn't like these topics being discussed. But I decided, even if we're demonetized, it doesn't matter. This is really important to talk about. And this is a massive thing. This is a massive risk. This is something that is going to have an avalanche of lawsuits. And people need to understand it. They need to understand it from a legal perspective. And they need to get an understanding of what the law is, what the requirements are. And also, particularly today, we're going to be talking about the Deceptive Trade Practices Act, which is something that I have talked about with you guys a lot. And you need to remember this, because this is something they are hitting Roblox with, Louisiana. And this is not limited to Roblox. A lot of other digital platforms, looking at you, Twitch, can be potentially sued under these same statutes for different reasons, right? So not for the exact same reasons, right? Obviously the facts are different platform to platform, but what the underlying law is can apply broadly. So when you see this lawsuit, think about what other platforms, other areas can apply this law. This is something that it can go many, many ways. Real quick, guys, let me get through these. Unhinged Valkyrie said, okay, as long as they're scuff. Oh yeah. Don't worry for the 10 pounds. Thank you so much. Jordan Ripper said, let's get the ball rolling. Thank you. Sorry, I was a couple minutes late, running kind of behind today. I want to get the fast facts up because this is one that's going to need a fast fact summary. This one is going to have a big difference. So today I'm going to do a little preview with my PowerPoint, but I'm actually not going to read the entire PowerPoint. I'm going to read just the about half of it. And the back half of my PowerPoint is really summarizing the complaint. But what we're going to do on this channel, on the live, is go through the whole complaint. So the live will be substantially longer than the fast facts. But I understand that some people only have 10 minutes, only have 15 minutes, and they got to catch up on the news and they got to get that. So that's why it's very important for that to be out there too. But for you guys with the stream, you're going to get everything. So this is the full Monty. You're going to be able to ask questions. You're going to be able to really dive into it. And you're going to see that a lot of the stuff they put in the legal complaint, which is even more than what I put in my PowerPoint. So this is it's one where really, if you're doing the live, you're getting the full review. So you guys get a lot of value today. Derp said he lives. Yes. I needed a full day break after the Somali stuff. I had people calling me afterwards. I had some inside scoops. So I've got some, news, but once again, in a drama, of course, people call me with drama, but of course I don't always, I don't focus on drama on this channel. I focus on the law. Triple J26 for 10. Say Roblox devs would like to claim an insanity plea. Does the attorney accept his? Absolutely not. This is one where Roblox does not have an excuse. Platty gifted 10 Legal Mindset memberships. Thank you so much. Yes. And King Lugia for 10, giving all my haters
Emotional damage.
Thank you, Banky. The $10 super sticker. Thank you so much. Heat Nation said, hey, Andrew, huge fan of streams. Thank you. I want to ask Roblox sponsors and shareholders have a case against this kind of thing. They may, right? They may. If they can look and say, hey, this is not what we were paying for. We were misled. It's possible. Once again, I'm not saying it's for sure, but is it possible? Is there a chance? Yes, there is. It does open the door for everybody. This is something that it could severely damage the company. It could kill it, but it's really hard to kill companies, but it could definitely cripple this company. It could change this company entirely. Once again, the biggest thing for a company is perception. And the second that a company that is marketed towards younger people is no longer safe for younger people, that is irreparable brand damage, which they may never be able to recover from. Repton for 10 Canadians. It's time to legally break any hope Roblox may have had. Yeah, they're in hot water with this one. And they knew. There's no way they didn't know some of these things. There's no way. Drew Love says, show me the PP. Okay, I got you guys. I got you. Wait, hold on. It is not showing up properly. Oh, no. Oh, no, it's too strong. It's too strong. Hold on. Here we go. All right, let me go full screen. There we go. Louisiana versus Roblox. We got the nice pelican, which this is the flag of Louisiana. I learned something today. The pelican represents the state of Louisiana, and it's actually feeding blood to his children, which is about self-sacrifice and piety. It's tied to Catholicism and the history of Louisiana. Really cool flag of Louisiana there. I like learning about flags. It's a little bit about the history and culture of a state in the United States. But yeah, Louisiana versus Roblox. Mischief Managed says, do we need to start demanding a written excuse for tardiness from you? Well, chat will vote on whether it's legit. Listen, guys, sometimes I'm going to be late. That's just how it is. I do my best to be on time, but that's part of the scuff, guys. Shadow Gale channel says, funny how Visa and MasterCard have issues with Steam and Itch, but Roblox and this, crickets chirping, won't someone think of the kids? Well, that's, once again, Visa and MasterCard are not immune from unfair and deceptive trade practices. They are not immune from this. Now, the question is whether or not states want to start hitting them, because once again, what's the are there enough sufficient alternative payment processors, right? That's the fear is, oh my gosh, these people, handle so much, so we can't completely destroy the apple cart here. But how do we attack this? How do we regulate this? How do we maybe open the market up for competitors, right? All of these things are very, very important. Shoro, so the CEO wants 17 plus online dating to be on Roblox, not 18 plus. Plus the schlep banning. It scares me about the implications here. Chris Hansen's doing a documentary. They should. Chris, I mean, this is real. This is not made up. This is very real. This is something where people have been arrested. People have been convicted. This is not a joke. And the fact that Roblox has known this is a risk, it's a clear risk. And I'm going to talk about this a lot today, but I think about it like a playground. We don't allow predators on near, churches, daycares, schools, and playgrounds. But you're allowing them on Roblox. Roblox is a digital playground, right? Is the equivalent of a digital playground. I think it should be regulated like a digital playground. And I'm not the guy who's super pro regulation, but there are certain times in certain places where this stuff comes in and you say, yeah, this is reasonable, right? And this is a good reason. Right now, of course, people will say, well, beware over regulation. I know libertarians are out there screaming and crying, but at some point you have to say, okay, there needs to be some oversight here. Orlando Galinda says, first Roblox, then we go after PayPal, Visa, MasterCard. Gamers Unite. Hicka for 5 Legal Mindset memberships. Thank you so much, Hicka. And thank you so much for being generous. All those that give very, very generously. Hicka, I know you have. King Lugia, you guys have been great. And thank you for supporting the channel. Once again, probably going to get partially demonetized today, if not fully demonetized. So, your support really matters today. Thank you. And you can also go over to Ko-Fi/Andrew Esquire and support there. That also helps. Crimson Splash is a wonderful bird as a pelican. Its mouth can hold more than a pelican. Thank you for that. Okay. All right, let's jump into this. First of all, for anybody that may be sensitive, of course, this is very, 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 very important. And, I'm not, look, guys, me. I'm not a guy who is necessarily always looking out for everyone's sensitivity, everyone's particular sensitivities, because, everybody has things they're particularly sensitive about. And in this world, it is impossible to determine the specific things that people are sensitive about. Some people don't like eggs, right? Some people might not like butterflies, right? There are things that people that for some reason, whatever, that people just freak people out. And it's impossible to know everybody's sensitivities. However, this is a topic that is clearly sensitive for a lot of people. A lot of people have severe trauma from their childhood, or severe trauma from criminal past, or severe trauma from things related to this. And this is a very sensitive topic, particularly if you're a parent, particularly if you've got somebody in your family who's been a victim of this. So please just try to be thoughtful today. Do it for me, on this topic. Be thoughtful in the chat, be thoughtful in the comments. And, I think that's something we can all, as humans, just try to be human about, because this is a topic that, as a human, I don't care if you are left-wing. I don't care if you're right-wing. I don't care if you're Christian. I don't care if you're Muslim, Jewish, atheist. I don't care. As a human, you should care about this. This is a human thing. And you should be enraged when you hear this sort of behavior. Now, I'm going to try to keep it professional and try to keep it calm, but this is something that is absolutely serious. And, I love to joke. I really do, but it's really hard with this topic. So I'll read a couple super chats. We'll go. Dr. Love says, can't demonetize this. Thank you. Patrick S says, could there be child labor laws also involved since they have kids develop new games that didn't get jacked for payment? Nobody is sued under that yet. So if you're saying, could there? Maybe, but that doesn't come up yet. But you know what? A creative lawyer might throw that in there. Why not? Robert Von Beek for 10 Legal Mindset memberships. Thank you. And Sokar Chowdhury for another 5 Legal Mindset memberships. Thank you guys so much.
Yes.
Oh, Hardcade for 20 Legal Mindset memberships. Thank you so much. Listen, I really appreciate you guys. Hardcade, Robert Von Beek, guys, thank you so much for giving and supporting the channel. And if you received a membership, please say thank you for that gift membership. Please cover Denim's response tomorrow. I felt like this was immediate. I can get the denims tomorrow. Dirty denims, disloyal denims, she can come tomorrow. This came from the 2024 Hindenburg Research Report. Oh, really? And Dark Cancer for 5 Singapore said, the way I see it, the only way to let parents know is to post ads on Facebook and YouTube that they're letting their children near peds by allowing them to play Roblox. Well, what they want them to do, and I'm going to spoil the ending here, but what they want them to do, what Louisiana has said, is that Roblox needs to stop advertising itself as safe. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine a platform having to remove the word safe from everywhere? That is massive. And especially as a parent, the second that you see a platform have to say that is not safe, that is crazy. So either they're going to have to make massive changes to how they operate. I mean, massive, like we're talking biometrics, etc., like real changes. And the scary thing, what's going to be very scary, is how their user numbers are affected after that. Because if you see them massively drop off and go away, there's a question of how many percent of these people were, good faith and how many people were bad faith actors. Santino Goldberg for 100 Argentina. I wouldn't let Chris Hansen. I wouldn't trust Chris Hansen to back Schlepp. He always sided with including LE beforehand and against preg groups. Alex Rosen, Gideon, Schlepp have caught multiple off Roblox scary stuff. Yeah. Now, once again, I want to be very clear. Of course, I know who Chris Hansen is, but I don't know much about Schlepp before this. This is my first kind of introduction. I've only watched like a couple of his videos, but going through his channel, it's very clear what he's dedicated his channel towards. So I don't need to, the thumbnails can sometimes be deceiving on certain channels, but on his channel, as you're going to see here, they're very straightforward. Sigrun for 10 said there's too many bad actors in your service and you make no effort to clean it up. Expect even the most staunch libertarians to break class in case of emergency. Exactly. And that's where I'm at. Once again, I don't like regulation. I really don't. I'm really not a guy who's like, let's regulate. But this is the type of topic which is like, you know what? Yeah, we need some oversight here, right? There's some things where it's like, yeah, that's a line. And yeah, the state should come in, because, we can't distribute personal wood chippers for use in this case. So because of that, we have to rely upon the state, which does have a monopoly on capital punishment. And other sorts of criminal punishment for these sorts of people, which is what they entirely deserve, right? King Lucha for 15 says, all those cursed Roblox for aiding and abetting maps while freaking out over those who protect them. Exactly. Demi Child said, today I'm watching as a concerned parent. Thank you. And once again, I'm not a parent, but I have my brother has kids. My family has kids. I was just talking to my cousin who has 3 wonderful kids. I have friends with kids. This is extraordinarily disturbing. I've been a teacher in the past. Like this is extraordinarily disturbing. And to think that anyone would be exposed to this, particularly a child that doesn't know any better, targeted by very predatory adults that are using psychological manipulation to get children to do things. CB Miracle for 5 €5 says, I've always had the feeling there's more control in the chat for a game that is marketed 18 plus than in games that are marketed kids. Yes. And that's the scary thing. Fat Emo for 5 says, especially heinous for a platform advertised for children, not just advertised. The majority of people on that platform are minors. The super majority, it's 56% you're going to see, are under the age of 16 or 16 or under. The majority, not a significant amount. Like Twitch, for example, has a significant amount of minors, but it's not the majority, right? But they have a significant amount. It's a lot, right? A lot of minors are on Twitch. This is the majority of users. John Smith says personal wood cheapers contradicts the legal mindset. We are not a means to the end society. No, I understand that. Once again, I'm not trying to be too hyperbolic here. All I'm trying to say is, in terms of regulation, that just legal standard, right? We are past the vigilante justice era. Now we're going to talk about vigilantes here, but the vigilantes are turning them over to law enforcement. They're not executing the punishment, right, in the streets or out there, right? We're beyond that in Western civilization and most of civilizations around the world. And because the state is the only mechanism for for penalties, right? Whether it's retributive or restorative, whatever, they're the only ones that can execute those penalties. We have to use regulation that's in line with those mechanisms of punishment. Usagi Akimbo says, for all the corpos watching today, if you're thinking of doing something wrong in your organization, just ask yourself, do you want to be content? Exactly. And what is a nightmare for them is not just the lawsuit. It's that people like my channel and others are all going to be covering this. People are going to watch my breakdown and react to it. People are going to go across the internet and read all the articles. Mainstream media is talking about this. I'm going to show you Variety calling this out. This is everywhere. Parents are going to know. Sife DK for 50 Danish kroner. So many big Roblox creators are leaving Roblox partner program. As they should. Corporal Agent 73 for 10 says, Legendary Drops dropped a video today on this and said opening Roblox for the first time was like staring Satan in the face. Master Basher for 10 pounds said 2 things to say involving Roblox. 1, regards to Chris Hansen. I'd not be surprised if Ruben Sim also gets involved. And 2, this is sort of a cluster that violates KOSA at the worst. This is a mess. This is an absolute mess. So let's get into it. For those who don't need background, Roblox is super popular amongst kids and teens. It's been marketed this way since the early 2000s. This is something that's been pushed, and the company has pushed it itself. Of course, this has drawn people to the platform that are not good actors and that know that this is a place where children are. Just as in real life, where a predator might camp out outside a playground or go to a playground, this is a place where predators can say, oh, it's a digital playground. I can be anonymous. I can hide. I can lie. So it's instead of going to the actual playground, which, many people are inside on their computers nowadays, they go to the digital playground to do this. And there's far less protections because they're unseen. If some sort of morbidly obese creep comes up to the jungle gym or the slide, you see him coming and you know who he is. You can call the police, right? But if somebody, in this case, slides into an avatar, you have no idea. And especially, as you're going to see, they're using female voice changers, female avatars to seem like they're more friendly, right? So, of course, people stood up to this and said no, and said, you know what? No, we're not going to have this. We're not going to deal with this. We're not going to tolerate this. And that's people like Schlep. And once again, I don't know all of his content. I don't know if he's like always done good content or whatever else. All I know is, in this case, he did this specific work. And all I know is, based on what I see, it appears that he's led to the arrest of several, not just one, but several, several predators. I mean, just going over to his channel, you see here, child predator freaks at cops, child predator tries to run, child predator dad gets caught, child predator blaming the victim, Reddit predator goes to jail, catching Reddit predators live, got a Roblox predator. Sorry, why did I read Reddit? Oh, that was a little Freudian slip reading Reddit predator. But anyways, Roblox predator. So obviously, this is something this dude has done a lot. And let me be honest, from a legal perspective, Schlep here takes the risk of falsely accusing somebody. So I know we all believe in innocent until proven guilty. And that's a thing, right? So, obviously this is something where if he calls somebody a predator, that's a criminal distinction. So that would be defamatory. So if he was to call somebody a predator and they indeed weren't, they could sue him for all he's worth, take his channel easily, like just knock him off the internet. So he assumes the risk of that. And anybody who's out there doing this clearly needs to have the Carfax. Because if they were to do this and it was wrong, they're done. They're cooked. Any one of these people, if this is wrong and he's calling them a predator, any of these people whose face is here and everything, they're done, right? I mean, he's done, right? So he takes that risk. So that's very, very important to notice, because Roblox is going to make it seem like they're doing this for clout and they're doing this, for building their own communities, et cetera, et cetera. But they're taking a massive risk sticking their neck out for this. They're taking a massive risk sticking their neck out for this, because if they are wrong, they're done. And they can even face, very, very severe penalties. If it was malicious, particularly if it was malicious and they're out there maliciously defaming somebody, they know that the information is wrong and they're defaming them anyways. That's a massive problem. Massive problem. Okay. Let me get through some of these super chats when we continue. Silent Stream says, SEC filings said Roblox exec dumped millions in stocks right before they sent the cease and desist. It's argued that it was a 10b5-1 plan. What's your take? I think Roblox executives know they're cooked. They know they're cooked. They're facing, let's turn over here. We'll go back before we talk about this. They're facing not just the Louisiana lawsuit, but hundreds of civil lawsuits by parents. Hundreds. They know they're cooked. Now is the time to dump their stock, because it's only going to go down. It's not going to go up. Canna VT gifted 10 Legal Mindset memberships. Thank you so much for that. Charles S. said, good question from Dookie. Is Roblox considered a publisher for Section 230? So I don't think the 230 protections are going to protect them here, because this is a deceptive trade practice. So it goes around that. So that's the thing. It attacks them on an angle where that's not going to work. So yes, that wouldn't work even if they were considered, and I think in this instance they wouldn't be. So I think this is going to evade Section 230, which is why I've been talking about unfair and deceptive trade practices, because it attacks them on an angle that they really can't protect from, that they really can't shield from, because they want to try to shield from it, right? They want to try to say, oh yeah, we're protected. Oh yeah, we're immune. Oh yeah, we're this and that. But that's just not the case. That's simply not the case. They are not protected here. They're not covered here. This is not something that they're going to get out of, whether it's, they're actually sued under 3 causes of action. None of those causes of action would be, excused, because they're saying, okay, yeah, we've got 230 protections. So I think that's something that they're going to have a hard time asserting in the instant case. So, but good question. Once again, I do appreciate all these questions, guys. I mean, they're really good questions, because they need to be asked, right? They need to be asked like, hey, look, is there any possible defense here? Yeah, they can fight back against this, but still. And let's see their response. So this is their response. I'll get the rest of these in a second, but I want to read their response, which really to me is sickening. And I try to be professional here, but their response is, we care about the privacy concerns of predators, right? And once again, I know people are innocent until proven guilty. I understand that. I really do. But privacy considerations do not come into play when someone is being arrested by law enforcement, and when they're being charged, and when they're being convicted. And we're going to talk about cases here. They have cases with people that have been convicted. So I don't care about the privacy concerns, and you shouldn't, because there are no privacy concerns. Once you are a criminal, once you're under a criminal investigation, that's public. For example, in Florida, as soon as you're arrested and there's a mugshot, that's all public. So there's no privacy consideration. You're not breaking a privacy law. And this is the biggest cope. This is the biggest copium ever, to say they care about the privacy considerations in the response. Then once again, this is the response of Roblox. The other thing is, they're saying, okay, what you need to do here is to report it under the standard channels. And the problem is, here is that the standard channels are not working. The standard channels are failing. And when the standard channels are allowing predators to operate freely, that's not good enough. That's not okay. And beyond that, this is sort of like a whistleblower situation. So you're getting into a situation where you have people that are turning people over to law enforcement, and you are punishing the people for following the law, for reporting crime. You're punishing whistleblowers. That is beyond insane. That to me is corporate suicide. And I've worked in corporations. This is suicide, right? Roblox is not law enforcement. If you see a law happening, online or otherwise, a law being broken, a crime being committed, it is your duty to report that. No matter what the corporation says, screw the corporation. And once again, I say this as a corporate attorney, knowing this, screw the corporation, go to law enforcement. If you see a crime, particularly a crime involving a vulnerable population that is being targeted, yes, you need to go report that to the real law enforcement, not the corporate suits that are going to try to bury it. Sir Jack 528 is coming up in 20 months. Here's the more analysis. Thank you. 17 months there. Thank you so much, Sir Jack. Glad you've been here for that long. Kind of VT said, always got weird vibes from Roblox. Told my sister to never let her kids play it years ago. Well, you better tell her now. I mean, if you've got people in your family and their kids are on Roblox, you better tell them right now, this is not safe. M gifted 5 Legal Mindset memberships. Thank you so much for that. M. Hika said, is there a concern that Roblox can sue SLEP for damages to reputation, loss of revenue, or is there defense SLEP could use? No, so they can sue. Anybody can sue for anything, right? The question is, would they win? I think they would get dismissed. And of course, Schlepp would be massively funded because I'd give Schlepp money to defend himself. I mean, I think he would be crowdfunded in 2 seconds. That'd be the worst PR ever. They can try. But once again, he's got proof these people are predators. And of course, many of them have been arrested by law enforcement. And there's a complete defense there. So yes, they can try. You can't hurt somebody's reputation by speaking the truth, right? Usagi says, can we still maybe attack? Can we maybe still attack 230, waving this situation as a flag? Maybe. Once again, guys, I think 230 is not today's topic. It's not. This is not the ripe case for 230, guys. This is not the 230 case. It's not. So, this is where I'm honest with you guys, even when you don't like it, and you can be mad at me if you want to. This case does not implicate 230 on its face. This is not the perfect case to take down 230. It is not. There are other cases that can be, but I do not believe this is a 230 case. I know we don't like 230. I know we want to change 230. I get it. I hear you guys. I'm with you. But certain cases are good for certain things. This is not the one. But I do appreciate the questions. Shura said, almost was a victim myself as a 4-year-old kid. My mom kept me safe from a map abducting me. I actually remember that still. I'm in my 30s. This is what I'm talking about. This is what I'm talking about being sensitive. This has happened to a lot of people. In fact, there's instances where you think back of what happened as a child. I remember I was playing with my brother and some people asked us to ride in their car and go somewhere, and it's like, was that what I think it was? It could have been innocent, but it could have been not, and you think about these sort of things, right? You're like, yeah, that could have been bad, right? Tom for 10 says, can you play devil's advocate and try to explain what the hell Roblox is thinking? Here's what they're thinking. I'll tell you what they're thinking. I know exactly what they're thinking. I know exactly what they're thinking. We're cooked. And the only thing we have is to double down on this right now, and then we'll implement changes. But we have to say we didn't know, and we have to follow these channels, because if these people are still operating and they show exactly the problem for them is there are so many of these people in Roblox, and these people are getting attention, that it's damaging their brand as a safe platform, which is complete bunk, because as we're going to see, they doctored their reputation. Members in the safety organizations that are supposed to be patrolling this and checking them are board members at Roblox. This is like the GFC. If you guys saw The Big Short or any of the movies about the GFC, where the credit rating bureaus were pretty much people that were hand in hand with the mortgage agencies. This is what happens with watchdog agencies. Watchdog agencies often get co-opted by the very industries they regulate. It happens in almost all industries if they get lazy over time, because it's easy money. It's easy money because they want somebody to say, oh, you're safe, right? So every industry wants that. They want some organization that's quote unquote independent to say they're safe, right? And what it is, and I'll even put Imperion here because this was a good one. We investigated ourselves and found no wrongdoing. That's exactly what they want. And a lot of these third-party investigators, for enough money, they'll just tell you what you want to hear. Joshua Real said, I never got good advice from Roblox higher ups ever since I met them at GDC. Thanks for everyone for covering this stuff, especially when it comes to game developments. I love your absolution on facts and law. Thank you. Thank you. It's really hard today to be factual because some of the stuff really makes me angry. But you've got to cover it. Pilot Girls says Hindenburg sold Roblox last year. Oh, Save the Doctor said, so it's time to short Roblox stocks. I'm not giving stock advice. I can't give financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor, but it is what it is, right? There's a reason why people do these things. Sir Guard Bevel of the Nettle Soup says for £5, this sort of stuff the British Child Online Safety Bill was supposed to protect against, not what it's doing. And I want to be very clear. And some of you guys brought this up. We need to be very careful not to deal with this like we dealt with things in the past in America, where we're panicking and we rush through legislation that's supposed to do one thing, but it's a Trojan horse to do another. I am against that. I am for good regulation that does what it's supposed to do, not for regulation that has a name that says something and it does something else. Like, for example, if it's the Save the Whales Fund and it's funding like infinite whale fishermen, right? Obviously, that's not what it really is, right? So you see what's going on here, right? If it's like support oil and it's all going to solar panels, right? Obviously, that's not what's happening, right? So, and that happens a lot. I'll tell you that there are a lot of acts that are passed by Congress in the United States and in other countries as well. You guys, it's true too. Britain and Europe, you guys are guilty of this too. You'll slap a name on something and that has nothing to do with what the language actually does. I hate Yankee said at this point I'm left with no choice but to assume that Roblox wants children to be harmed. What I think is they understand there's economy here and there's money, and they got addicted to the money. They got addicted to the ease of access, and they knew that if they drew back on some of these restrictions, or if they were more restrictive, they would lose a certain amount of money. And they got greedy, they got lazy, they got complacent, and here's where we are. Patrick S says for $5, how does it legally work? How does it work legally charging Roblox? There's proof that the creep section. Oh yeah, I'm about to show you. I'm about to show you. They had a dev Uber a minor hundreds of miles. Oh yeah, there's a lot of proof. Mischief Managed says regarding cyber law, are you aware of Michaela Rains no longer with us due to being attacked online for a year? If you could cover laws, that's another topic, but I'll look into it. Curioso, what about a class action? They're already there. You guys are going to see. Alexis Artemis Green, Howard the First, thank you for the super sticker. Soundstream says, is an exec document in stock insider trading? It could be. We got to do some investigation. I don't want to speak ahead of myself because I haven't looked at the timing. I haven't looked at the facts. We don't know what's going on, but it could be. It very well could be. La Waffles for 6 Age Ringer said, oh, finally, but seriously, Schlepp needs justice. Linux guys have growing conflict between the generation used to fast results versus legal system taking years. And I agree, the legal system needs to be updated to not take years. And these things need to be expedited. But we need to do proper due diligence. I do believe in proof, and I do believe that we don't need to go on speculation, et cetera, et cetera. But this is one where I think there needs to be some action. The law does need to change, but it needs to change in the right way. And it needs to change in a way that's specifically targeted to remedy the specific problem, not to do something else, not to essentially, in one case, force everybody to lock up their free speech, right? That's not what we need to go here, because we need to be very aware that that's what this could be used to do, right? It's not, I don't want to be used to like track everybody's location 24/7, 365, even though a lot of that's still going on, right? I still want to be protective of individual freedoms as much as possible. But at the exact same time, I cannot sit here and say this is not a problem when it clearly is. You can't put your head in the sand and say, well, no, this is just not a problem. And, parents just need to be more responsible. And that's all, right? That's not really going to work. So that's where I politely disagree. That's where I politely disagree, because a lot of people will try to put it that way or try to frame it that way, but that's just not what's going on here. It just simply isn't. Okay, hold on, guys, 1 second. I want to make sure I did something correctly, because I got a lot set up for today. Today's been a really, really busy day, especially coming off of Somali. I was just absolutely buried. That Somali stuff put me back a while, because there's a lot going on there, behind the scenes, in front of the scenes. So, okay, I think we're good now. And I think now I'm going to have everything set up perfectly. Okay. Perfect. Okay, let's go on. So mounting lawsuits as parents across the U.S. allege the company enables child predators. Here's the big thing. Federal case filed in California. This is not the case we're covering. We're covering Louisiana versus Roblox, but this is an additional lawsuit. So somebody mentioned earlier, class action. This is a class action. A federal case filed in California adds more than 300 lawsuits accusing the gaming giant to ignoring warnings about exploitive content and failing to protect children. So we've got a class action filed in California. This was just filed. Roblox sued by the state of Louisiana, which alleges platform facilitates sexual exploitation of kids. So this was what's just filed. This is what we're covering today. This came out tomorrow. And this came out yesterday. And this is what we're going into today. Louisiana versus Roblox. Now, I'm going to read you. Also, someone mentioned Clippy. I actually, unironically, I am doing a fast facts on Clippy that will come out tomorrow. It'll probably come around, like, I've got to film the denim stuff and get that ready, but I want to get Clippy out tomorrow or the next day because the Clippy stuff is actually real and there's legal implications there. So anyways, filed, yeah, sorry guys, I'm a little tired. So this was filed August 14th. And yeah, I scuffed a lot of spelling here. I spelled Louisiana wrong. Filed for August 14th by the State Attorney General of Louisiana. Other states are highly likely to follow. So what this means is that while Louisiana is the first state to sue using their Unfair and Deceptive Practices Act, every state has, every single state has a Unfair and Deceptive Practices Act. Now, here's the thing. They can vary slightly, but this is something that that you have to be very, very aware of. So while Louisiana is the first, they may not be the last. I can see Georgia, Florida, Texas, California, whatever. All these other states could all file their own Deceptive and Unfair Trade Practices Act. They're also using negligence and public nuisance, which is very good because public nuisance covers topics like like playgrounds, for example, like playgrounds and pools. And I would view this like a playground that is dangerous, right? It's a digital playground, right? The comparison to a digital playground is very apt. So you wouldn't allow a playground that's covered in nails that, is dangerous. It has, wild, dangerous animals there that are there. You'd have liability. That'd be a nuisance. Also, the unjust enrichment. That's the backup. But I think they're going to be able to nail it under the first two, either deceptive and unfair trade practices or negligent and public nuisance. So I think that thing is there. Yes, attractive nuisance. Right. You guys heard about the legal theory of attractive nuisance. So you're luring a vulnerable population, children, into something that is dangerous inherently. Law enforcement arrested a child predator in Livingston Parish, Louisiana, using Roblox with a female voice changer to lure in minors. The key accusations, these are the most important accusations here, guys, that Roblox knowingly enabled and facilitated the systematic sexual exploitation of children across the United States. Systematic sexual exploitation. This is the language they use. This is a quote. This is not me making this up. This is the quote. Knowingly enabled or facilitated the systematic exploitation of children. Roblox permitted and perpetuated an online environment in which child predators thrive, not just exist, where they thrive, directly contributing to the widespread victimization of minor children. And that they deliberately failed to implement effective safety measures and failed to warn parents. They knew this is a problem. This is an obvious problem. And they did nothing. Today's PP is super serious. Yeah, sorry, guys. I mean, today is a serious day, but it's a serious topic, right? To lighten the mood a bit, could you please read one or two slides in Louisiana? I say. I really can't do like the Foghorn Leghorn. I go into Foghorn Leghorn. I can't do it. I have to call my friend Valiant to do that. Walker Max for 200 says, when I was a kid, one of my neighbors exposed unsavory stuff, and I was afraid to tell my parents because I was friends that I would be punished. Yeah, Roblox protecting them gets my blood boiling. This is what I'm saying, guys. A lot of people have seen this sort of stuff as kids, and like it damages you forever. You remember this stuff as a kid, and it can harm you forever. Fuck off for 13 Canadian. So I used to play Roblox when I was a child, quit in 2010, but now I'm going to uninstall it from all we own to protect my nephew. This is vomit inducing. I was going to grab breakfast. Now I'm not sure I want to. Revan's disciple, member for 4, said, could any and all unanswered reports be revealed? Boog for 50 Mexican says, do CEOs and the board ever get charged with crimes when a corporation does something highly illegal? Why is it a fine, aka wrist slap? They can. Once again, if they had knowledge, it's possible. Once again, we need to get more discovery. We need to get more information. I don't know how much personal knowledge they had, but if they knew, if they were aware of the scope of this, then yeah, I believe there should be some criminal stuff going on. Yes. Alpire said, I think Roblox could have avoided all this and gotten a win if they actually hired Schlepper, offered to have him do the job Roblox is filling out. Exactly. Hire him as an independent consultant on how to fix this problem. Showrow for 5 says both Republicans and Democrats in the U.S. Congress spoke their disgust about the Roblox issue, and Qatar banned Roblox as dangerous kids. And that's the other thing. Countries are going to ban this. Countries are going to ban Roblox. Cage Akami for 5 says, I got a feeling that this mess might hamper the fight against internet censorship. Once again, I see what you're saying, but we have to go issue by issue. Is internet censorship a real issue? Yes. Is this a real issue? Yes. And we need to address we need to come in with a laser, not come in with a buzzsaw and just chop off our whole arm to try to, spite the hand. We need to come in with a laser, pinpoint the problem, which is a specific group of people, predators, and take them out. Right? We don't need to silence free speech. We don't need to censor everything. That's not that. Once again, there's a laser that needs to come in here targeting this specific instance. And that's why law should be case by case. That's why it should be specifically tailored, a surgical strike, not coming in and nuking everything from orbit. Dr. Love, 1990, says, crazy what happens when you throw a bunch of kids into the same area without supervision. There's perverts everywhere. Who would have thought? Well, it's obvious, right? Isn't it obvious? Anyways, the procedure, this is a state case because it's arising under state law. Every state has a Deceptive and Unfair Trade Practices Act with slight variations. Roblox is a California company, but since they do business in Louisiana, jurisdiction and venue in Louisiana is proper. They're unable. So if they try to, which they may, try to remove this to federal court, they're unlikely to do that unilaterally. Now, if Roblox decides if Roblox gets sued by other states, so let's say a bunch of states copy paste essentially the Louisiana suit, and there may be a way to do this in federal court, right? They may be able to bring a federal claim, and the feds could get involved. Also, the U.S., at a higher level, right? The DOJ could get involved here too. This is something that can get involved at a much higher level if people are motivated truly to figure this out. And as more discovery comes out. So that's the PowerPoint for now. Now, my fast facts will have the rest of it because it's all a summary. So what we're going to do here is we're going to pull up the actual complaint. And we're going to start at the factual allegations. It's a little bit of a flashbang, guys, because it's a PowerPoint. So obviously it's white. So you're going to get a little bit of a flashbang. But here you go. This is the document. We're going to read through it. I've already gone through the procedure here and the venue and the parties. You guys know Roblox is, a company. So let's read through some of the factual allegations that I think are really relevant here today. So one of the biggest ones is that it's got 6.4 million experiences. So it's very, very, very big, and that they have complete control over those experiences. So they can handle age verification, warnings, age restrictions, all of that, policies, rules. That's all controlled by Roblox. They fully control that. They don't outsource that. That's not something that they, at least as far as we know, they don't send that off to, another country to deal with. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. But the point of the matter is it's under their control, right? There's no independent agency that can come in there and shut down Roblox experiences. It's easily accessible, including to children as young as 6 years old. It's free to download and play. Free to download and play on gaming consoles, computers, tablets, and can be easily set up with a child in a matter of minutes without a parent. Very, very important. It markets itself as the #1 gaming site for kids and teens, and it claims it's a gateway to learning, and it offers high-quality, standards-aligned, immersive educational experiences. So it literally is showing you, hey, this is learning, right? This is for kids, and it's marketing, right? It's showing people that are minors, right? In their own marketing. They exploded during the pandemic, where they started with roughly 31 million, right, during the pandemic, more than half of which are under 13, making it the world's biggest recreational zone for kids. The growth continued unabated until their latest report, which has about 83 million, 82.9, 83 million active users. Here's the kicker, guys. Get these numbers. 20% are under 9. But when you add this up, 20 plus 20 plus 16, what is that? Now, my math ain't so good. That's 56% of people are minors. 56% of people on this platform are minors. Today, Roblox is the most downloaded game globally. Most downloaded game globally. This is a massive problem. Users of any age, there is no age minimum can sign up. And they do not verify age. They use self-reporting. This is insane. Especially for things that is majority minors, to use a self-reporting system with no backup to get into this. Because you can have people walk right into this just by saying they're a minor. Now they're magically a minor, right? Children, although defendant states that children should have parental permission, they do not have any safety features. So they don't have to contact or confirm with parents. They could easily make this so that, hey, when you sign up, the parent has to submit an ID, right? For the kid, they have to have a biometrics, et cetera. There's something where they have to verify, to age verify into this. Right? We have the technology. It's not impossible to do. They could make this happen. Right? Nightbird for 20 says, I've followed Roblox since people make games covered how the system exploits underage developers and puts them in harm for exploitation. That was 3 years ago. It seems Roblox doesn't change at all. No, it hasn't. Tommy Eklund says, minors have also been exploited on Roblox in other ways than sexual for ages. All kinds of predatory shit going on there. Mazarvo Palma for 20 Legal Minds memberships. Thank you so much for that, supporting the channel as we potentially get demonetized. So they do nothing to confirm anything. So anyone can sign up. They have access to biometric age verification that requires a photo ID. However, they choose not to use this for age verification or sign up. And they're aware that users create accounts using fake birthdays. Everyone's done this. Look, I remember back in the day when I was trying to access stuff, I had like a fake email that when I was young growing up on the internet, I had a fake email that I used to sign up for stuff. That was way back in the day. Everyone's done it. And there's been times in which I'm signing up for an email. I'm lazy. So I said I was born in 1901 just because I'm like, well, I'll remember that. Okay. I don't want to scroll down. Look, there's that's harmless or relatively versus this that is very much harmful, where you're getting, people that are entering into this and they are, you doing this to enter essentially a playground, right? After creating their assigned default avatar, obviously you guys know what avatars are. There are a bunch of experiences in the game of all different types, right? This is crazy. Prior to November 2024, when a child created an account, the default setting was for parental protections to be off. As a result, if a child made their own account and listed their age as 13 or older, then any experience was available. Further, until 2024, the default setting allowed adults to easily communicate with children. They could friend and DM, private message, a child. And even now, today, they can still message within experiences. They can still, once an adult lures a child into an experience, they can message them. Also, you've got Robux. Oh, Robux. So Robux is their digital currency for the online platform. So children frequently become obsessed with purchasing items on Robux for their avatars, like a new hairdo or a new, whatever style clothes. So what people do is, for example, a child predator used a quote unquote company in there to sell rare items at astronomical prices, which the children seek to purchase to keep up with or outdo their peers. As a result, children often tell others, including strangers, that they will do anything for Robux. that is that is not good. That is not good. Sorry, in this case, this was actually in Robux's avatar store. But the point is that child predators use this to lure people in. Right? Oh, you can't pay with Robux. Okay, I've got this other way you'll pay. Right? It's like this is this is really dark. They've represented repeatedly that they're safe, and they've called themselves an online virtual playground where all kids can play and interact and have fun. They've called themselves a playground. So this is something where, they've admitted what they are, but they're not acting like they should. Bad News Badger says for 50 krona, imagine Visa and MasterCard reputation. If this was their cause of action instead of Steam and Itch, they would actually have a point contra whatever is now. Yeah, and once again, that's a whole separate stream, a whole separate battle. The Visa and MasterCard stuff, there's a lot of separate channels, but I get where you guys are going on that. So they continue to promise parents, we take every precaution available to make kids are properly protected from inappropriate and offensive individuals, as well as from indecent and untasteful content. Every protection. Meet Roblox's strip club experience, right? Strip club experience. Oh, it gets worse. They say they have a zero tolerance for swearing, obscenity, messages of a sexual or violent nature, or aggressive or threatening communication. And they say that they immediately suspend or expel any offenders. That's a lie. That's a lie. Right? They advertise as family friendly. Right? They say it's a safe, moderated place to meet, collaborate, and have creative products. Right? They say safety is our DNA, is in our DNA. They say they won't allow language that harasses or discriminates or incites violence. Well, they have some very interesting experiences. I mean, obviously, this one kind of speaks for itself here. And here is the Roblox sex simulation experience, which I'm not going to read this, but there's a call me daddy here. Like, okay. And I'm not even going to read this, but you guys can read this, especially this about Hello Kitty here. You guys can read this sort of language here. This person just hung out, was not banned, right? Like just happening in chat. The vice president of civilian partnerships doubled down on promises in parenting magazines and news and podcasts, all aimed at persuading parents to let their children use Roblox. She contacted international online safety experts in an effort to sell Roblox safety story. The funny thing is, the very same people are on the board of the safety organizations. The safety organizations that they talk about, oh, they're so safe. They're on the board and also in Roblox. It's what we call industry capture. So right here, they're saying parents, in response to safety concerns, Roblox notes the platform was designed for kids and teens from the beginning, and we're committed to making safety a priority. This continues to be our most important priority, and that will never change. Clearly, that was a lie. Clearly, that was a lie. They talk about incredible moderation. All that stuff, once again, it being a top priority for safety and civility, etc. Removing bad actors immediately. Well, we got another experience here. Just hanging out. Public bathroom simulator. Yeah. Rated ages 9 and up for public bathroom simulator with 2.1 million visits. Right? Yeah, how'd your moderation go there? How'd your moderation go there? Let's continue here. So they keep talking about how safe they are. This is all this proof. They went on NPR talking about how safe they are. They made public safety statements saying how safe they are. There's a ton of evidence that Roblox repeatedly said, we're safe, we're safe, we're safe, we're safe, we're safe. But when there's that saying, the lady doth protest too much, when you keep saying it so much, where it's too much, it raises a question, right? It definitely raises a question. The campaign of reassurance masks the truth, Far from creating a safe place for children, Roblox designed, built, and maintains Roblox that lacks safety features to protect children from predators and lacks warning for parents and children. The end result, through its failure to implement adequate safety, and failure to provide notice, provides the perfect place for PDFs. And I'm not talking about Adobe here. I'm not talking about Adobe. Okay. Here's another one. I think you guys can just read this. I mean, once again, hanging out in Roblox, family friendly, right? Another contributing factor is the failure to require age-appropriate designations on experiences. Defendant intentionally or knowingly designed Roblox without requiring age-appropriate designations on experiences in order to increase the number of uses per experience for increasing revenue. Instead, the option of all ages can be selected by the experience creator, giving children access to highly inappropriate experiences such as Escape from Epstein Island, which is, Escape to Epstein Island. The title that directly references one of the locations where Jeffrey Epstein trafficked minors and other non-consenting individuals so he and others could sexually and physically abuse them. This was in the all ages category. All ages category, Escape to Epstein Island. You cannot make this up. You can't make it up. Like, are you serious? And like, once again, this is something that shouldn't, like, as a keyword, when somebody tried to name it that, you should have not allowed that name, right? First and foremost. But beyond that, that should immediately have gone to somebody, okay, we're banning this person permanently. We're like IP banning this person from the platform. We'll probably we might even notify law enforcement. I mean, this is something that, once again, a very sick individual made. Very sick individual. Shrek Sports says, what are the odds this has a swinging door effect and ends up extending to other individuals who create exploitive games within Roblox and beyond them? Discovery could expose so many. That's what I'm talking about, guys. Because you guys are asking, like, can these people be liable? What we need is more discovery. And I'm telling you right now, the discovery on this is going to be wild. The discovery on this is going to be nuts. If this is what we're seeing on its face, then the true depth is far, far deeper. If this is what we're seeing on the outside, the inside's going to be nasty. Walker Max says, I think the government should go after the executives, not just companies. Like how the FTC went after Adobe. They once again, discovery. When we get discovery, we may be able to get this. Chris Walska, thank you for covering this hard issue. Man, this is tough for me. It's tough for me to talk about this stuff. I like to have fun. I like to make jokes. I can't joke about this. It's really not something that's joke worthy. I mean, I want to. I really do like to make jokes, but this is super serious. Danny Von der Ven for 11 said, there's a massive gambling problem in Roblox where people allow children to spin wheels for rare items using their currency, requiring IRL money. Would there be additional charges? Once again, there could be, right? There could be. There absolutely could be. Cry Cabot for 5 says, I've warned people for years about Roblox. This is nothing new, but the time they didn't manage to sweep it away like the past. That's the thing. Gamers warn people and they don't take gamers seriously. And one of the big problems is, as somebody said, they're going to settle. This is not a settle thing. The civil suit, the class action with the parents, maybe they can settle that one. Louisiana as a state will not settle. There's going to need to be strong corrective action. There's going to be restitution. There's going to be payments, right? This is not just a simple settle situation, right? Hexenhammer for 10 says, legislators everywhere. The only way to keep kids safe is mandatory online ID verifications for the greater good. Once again, I'm with you here. We should not let this be the Trojan horse that allows some crazy, freedom breaching stuff. We should take out a laser and zap Roblox specifically. And then we need to look at other platforms like Roblox and zap them specifically, not do some sweeping crazy stuff that is far overly restricted, particularly breaching rights in countries like the United States. I'm with you guys on that. I'm not against you. I'm not like a zealot one way or another. I respect individual liberties. I really, truly do. But there's times at which things need to be regulated. Brad Gaddis for 10 says, this is not a game programming company. Do they even have a regex filter on their own platform that would match the foul and sexual language? Seems like zero controls on what people do. That's what I'm saying. Like literally any platform that has a chat can filter out words. It's mind-boggling. It's not Crazy technology. Lopin, so take a deep breath. We're with you. Thank you. Thank you. I'll get my water here. That'll be a good one. It's a hard one. Upright for 5 says people need to remember that law can be used as a scalpel, and this is what we need to do: cut out the cancer, this Roblox, leave the others. That's right. That's right. We don't go in and nuke everything. Because Roblox is deceptive to children, children are exposed to this graphic sexual material, and existing safety features are woefully inadequate. Their chat filtering feature is designed to filter inappropriate content and personal information on accounts 12 and younger, but is less restrictive by accounts age 13. However, filters easily bypass obscuring text with alphanumeric combinations, e.g., D1, DDY, P13, and S. And I think we all don't need to be that intelligent to understand the lead speak here, as we called it back in the day, the lead speak, right? I think we all know what this is, and I all know what that they're trying to say, right? So the fact that even simple stuff like this, which if they're just not lazy, could filter that out. Nope. Yeah, lead speak can be checked by filter too. Exactly. I've had that happen on other platforms where they can check lead speak for sure. Not only does permanent workaround, but also allows players to circumvent filters to request and provide links to external chat services. While the experience on Roblox is created by developers, the tools used by developers are ones the defendant designs, controls, and makes available to third parties. However, Roblox has control in which the tools are used and has the ability to place limitations and restrictions on them. Instead, however, over the years, Roblox has grossly inefficient safety controls and safeguards. As early as 2010, 15 years ago, they devolved into hosting and promoting explicit content. Their scripting language allows developers to manipulate avatar ability interactions any way they want and to create scenarios where avatars are engaging in simulated sexual activity. This simulated sexual activity pervades Roblox. As Roblox knows, there have been numerous reports of children's avatars being, and I'm not going to say this word, you guys can read it, by others' avatars. For example, in 2018, a 7-year-old girl's avatar was violently assaulted by 2 male avatars on a playground in a Roblox experience, which was witnessed by the girl's mother. This is some sick stuff. In describing the aftermath of this traumatic experience, the girl's mother explained, "I never in my wildest dreams would have ever imagined I would have to talk with my 7-year-old about SA," right? Guys, one said, you were wondering whether this is why this is huge. This has the examples here. It has a citation. This is a footnote. Like, this is a real thing that happened. This is not, somebody worrying about some fake thing. And I understand there's a lot of people out there on the internet that worry too much. Kind of like concern trolling or whatever else. Like, they're like overly concerned about stuff that's like a non-issue. I understand that's a thing. I do get it. This is real, right? This is very real. It's not something that's made up or fake or whatever else. Roblox hosts a staggering number of experiences centered on sexual activity, including children can play in condo games, predatory digital environments, including houses where they can remove their clothing, revealing nudity, and engage in disturbing experiences such as the public bathroom simulator. A recent investigative report exposed a number of exploitative experiences that recklessly trivialize and gamify serious criminal conduct, including SA. They report that the Roblox has hosted 600 Diddy games with titles like Survive Diddy, Run from Diddy, and Diddy Party. We've got them all down here. Well, some of them down here. Escape Freaky Diddy, or Freaky Party. Survive Diddy in Area 51. The Road to Diddy's, Diddy Party, Freaky Diddy Simulator, Official Diddy, Midnight at the Diddy Party, Diddy Simulator, Nice Try Diddy, Diddy Party, Freaky Diddy, Survive Diddy, Diddy's World, and Diddy Survival. A lot of Diddy here. There is more than 900 accounts displaying variations of convicted trafficker Jeffrey Epstein's name, such as Jeff Epstein's supporter. Defendant also hosted on servers games like Escape to Epstein Island and other similar experiences. They're deceptive in a myriad of ways, including lack of age verification. So any kid can get into this. They are fully aware of the gross nature of the experiences that pervade Roblox, and they're unchecked despite their ability to control them. Leaked internal documents. This is a big one. Leaked internal documents reveal that they not only actively monitored it, but made decisions such as how big of a bulge was acceptable. And with the introduction of layered clothing for avatars, whether players could be nude. They made this decision themselves. They knew, according to legal documents. They knew. This is where the executives, this is people talking about the executives. This is where the executives get called in. This is where, once again, we still need more discovery. But this is the real bad part. Let me get some stats, so I'm going to continue. Triple J says, guess my younger self dodged a bullet when Roblox was fairly new around 2006. Too busy playing other games like Toontown and World of Warcraft. Yeah, and I grew up without Roblox. This was way before my time. Or sorry, way after my time. Was way before. I grew up on Dino Park. I grew up on single-player games mostly, like Dino Park Tycoon, right? Which is fun, right? I also played a lot of multi-user dungeon games, which are interactive, but they're just like text. But people weren't weird back in the day on the internet. It was just like normal stuff. Like kill goblin, like it would be like slash goblin or like shoot magic missile. Like it was like very, very harmless back in the day. Fat Emo says words to unalive yourself. Bypass filter, yeah. Banowski, YouTuber named Terrorizer banned for having terror in name. Chris Walski said, is there any documentation from Roblox? Now they escalate to law enforcement through the filing. I'm interested if they have any back office process. That's what we all need to know. So if they're saying, okay, we have a standard process, I want to see their process. At what point are they going to law enforcement? Because a lot of this stuff should go right away to law enforcement. And that's why I say, I don't care what the company says. You need to go to law enforcement. The reason why they went after Schlepp is because he was doing what they should have been doing. And they're mad because he's reporting and making it clear this is coming from Roblox. And it said, you know, this lawsuit isn't enough cups needed to come out. And so does Chippy. Space Duck for 5 says, just joined. This is a kids game, right? This is not just a kids game. This is a game specifically targeting children. That is majority, 56%, 16 and under, 20% under 9. Team Legendary for 2000 Hungarian Florence says, I think there should be more parental controls implemented on platforms for children, spread more awareness about these options and notify the parents immediately if it detects certain keywords. Exactly. So one thing this can do, and once again, for those concerned about online privacy, is if your platform is a digital playground, if children are on your platform in significant numbers, 30%, 40%, 50% certainly, but even stuff like 20%, if you got a significant amount of people that are minors, you need to treat this as safely as you would a playground and have appropriate measures on that specific platform. If your platform is 18 and up and you have hard verification, ID verification, or whatever else for your 18 plus platform, by all means, you're 18 plus, you're an adult. Adults can be adults, right? I'm not trying to say adults shouldn't be adults. Adults can do whatever they want, right? Children cannot. Chi-Town, California said for $4.99, thank you for your great work. I'm glad that as a millennial, I grew up playing hand-me-down Legos instead of Roblox. This is horrendous. Yeah, I was playing with Legos too. I'm so old. Well, you guys probably remember this. I made my own Star Wars stuff, like an X-Wing and a TIE Fighter, with like normal Legos before they had the pre-built ones that just had all the special parts and stuff. And I always thought it was kind of cheating to buy the set that had the thing in it and not just build it from the normal Legos. I was like, oh, it's much more interesting because it didn't have like the pre-built stuff. You had to make the laser with like gray Legos instead of having like the laser just clips on. It's like, oh, that's cheating. King Lucha for 6 Major Ringgit. I had no childhood. Tuition plus extracurriculars. I got you. I know that type. Shreksport, become a YouTube member. Welcome. Sigrun says, bruh, even AeroJ with heavy customization don't have bulge display as natively, and those games are explicitly over 18. Don't ask how I know that. Durabin for 10 pounds says, I wonder if he'll blow back on Discord. There's a YouTuber called No Text to Speech who reports the condo Roblox Discord servers, and Discord does the same as Roblox, basically as little. Remember, we're also covering the Ethan Klein lawsuit. Let's combine those two. Unfair and Deceptive Trade Practices Act, combined with what's happening in the Klein lawsuit, and people are seeing this, Reddit and Discord messages and communities being exposed, and all those private messages coming out. Merger of two, the synthesis of that two, could be big trouble, especially for certain communities and places that have been getting away with stuff for way too long. Spider Bro says, why does a game made for kids of these type of worlds and worlds like, yeah, they should have been nuked and reported. YouTube censored the super chat because I have one specific word. And once again, I understand why that's censored, and I get what you're trying to get. If they have majority children, they should not be behaving like this. It's insane. It really, really is. Let me see this. Okay. This is okay. Let's continue here. Boop, boop. The interactive nature of these games amplifies the effect. Unlike passive media, video games require players to actively participate in behaviors, including those that simulate harassment or exploitation, reinforcing the perception that sub-actions are normal or desirable. It not only desensitizes children, but makes them more likely to replicate in the real world and susceptible to grooming techniques. Exactly. This is not limited to online games. The basic search for adult in Roblox revealed 334 members openly trading CP, and soliciting acts from minors. You guys can read this. Here. Public wall chat for a group named Adult Studios, where they openly solicited essay on the platform. Defendant is knowingly and recklessly hosting, enabling, facilitating the creation and distribution of pornographic content. Roblox has been designed to facilitate the creation and distribution of pornographic content by providing tools and software designed to make virtual videos between avatars on Roblox. These videos are clearly marked with the RBXL file extension. Defendant's proprietary file format established this content was created within Roblox. Moreover, on X Videos, a pornographic website, Roblox users seek out other users to simulate acts with and seemingly innocuous games like Brookhaven, which is one of their most popular experiences available to all ages. In sum, Roblox that Roblox designed hosts, enables, and contradicts its representations as a safe gaming service for minor children. For years, they've known about this, and they've recklessly allowed it to serve as a conduit for child predators to find, groom, abuse, and exploit children. Roblox creates an environment where children are susceptible to being groomed by predators without any warning or safeguard. Roblox knowingly and recklessly invites predators to have unsupervised access to tens of millions of children and allows predators to freely move between inappropriate sexualized content and popular games to identify and target vulnerable children. Defendants' failure to implement adequate safeguards and failure to provide notice of the danger for children knowing predators are utilizing it recklessly, indifferent to the fundamental obligation not to create and foster an environment that places children at significant risk of exploitation and abuse. Guys, it's nuts. It's really nuts. And you can see right here too, scrolling down a little bit, where this is a pattern where a predator misrepresents their age, cosplays as a child, and befriends a child and strategically manipulates them to move their conversation to other apps such as Snapchat or Discord. Add me on PANS. Read it backward. Okay. Right? Demonstration of how easy it was for a 42-year-old account to find a child user on Roblox and get the child to move the conversation to Snapchat. That easy. Oh, this is a good one. This is a good quote too here. The predators weren't just lurking outside the world's largest virtual playground. They were hanging from the jungle gym, using Roblox to lure kids into sending photographs or developing relationships that move to other online platforms and eventually offline. This conduct is being done openly on Roblox. Openly. And, it obviously is going to escalate. It obviously is going to be taken off that platform. And they're going to, end up in a place where they're allowing them to, to interact with these children in highly inappropriate ways. And the fact that people like Schlepp are able to find them just shows, hey, they're out there, right? And these people are being arrested, they're being convicted. So there's clearly enough proof, right? There's not a lack of proof that this stuff is going on. I want to read this part here. This is very important here. It's on page 36. So this part here, defendant also engaged in a deceptive public relations campaign using the ostensibly independent online safety organizations to influence the narrative around these changes. For instance, defendant has leveraged its ties to groups like the Family Online Safety Institute, FOSSI. Oh, that sounds great, right? FOSSI. That sounds like they're really going to look out for the family, right? That sounds like they're really going to protect them. Wrong. They endorsed Roblox as a win for child safety. What the article omitted is that Roblox's own vice president, we talked about it before, Tammy, is the board chair of the Family Online Safety Institute. The chair of the institute, with an obvious conflict of interest. They manipulate public perception by using seemingly independent safety organizations as mouthpieces to shape the narrative. Something they completely control themselves, something that they 100% have power over, and they know they can shape the narrative. Let me get this one too. There's another good one here. So they've tried to block people from going to Snapchat and Discord, right? However, what they're using is grossly inadequate and insufficient to protect children. For example, defendant's filters have inexplicable omissions. While the defendant blocks certain words like snap or Snapchat to supposedly prevent offline participations, it allows workarounds like the use of the ghost emoji, which is widely recognized as a symbol for Snapchat, or alternative spellings like snappy or app chat. Similarly, while the word Discord is blocked, users can bypass it by using the disc emoji or by variations like Iscord or Cord. The defendant selectively blocks the word Snapchat, and Discord, revealing the defendant is fully aware of the dangers of off-product inappropriate communications, yet chooses not to close these loopholes. While the defendant prevents users from sharing phone numbers in numerical format, it does nothing to stop users from spelling out the numbers. Crazy. They intentionally or knowingly have ineffective safeguards in place, allowing experiences to be removed and re-uploaded immediately from a new account, perpetuating a cycle of explicit and harmful content. External groups have capitalized on their weak moderation by guiding predators to re-upload games, with Fast Company identifying 150 Discord groups dedicated to exploiting their lack of enforcement. So they know the loopholes. The people that are into this are far savvier than the moderators can't keep up. Look at this. The company employs a woefully inadequate number of human moderators to analyze and manage content. With only about 3,000 moderators, the defendant pales in comparisons to platforms like TikTok, which despite having only 3 times the number of users, employs more than 10 times the moderators of 40,000 moderators. Defendant attempts to justify this disparity by claiming you can't really judge the quality of these moderation systems by the number of people. But the reality tells a different story. Defendant's mods, many of whom are overseas contractors, reported being overwhelmed by an unmanageable volume of child safety reports, making it impossible to address all the concerns and leaving safety. So not only are they overseasing this, so they're working on like very low labor rates, but they don't even have enough. They're not even hiring enough, right? More moderation costs money, so let's not do that. James Cloud says someone's grown up with Roblox and now running camps on teaching kids how to make games in the Roblox studio. I will always tell a parent to be vigilant. Robots had this coming for a while. Yep. Steve's 18 is a new member. VR for 10 says, fun fact, I witnessed it firsthand as a kid in Roblox. Nothing in chat, but through hacks, you can use custom animations in any game that was used to assault other players with impunity. Peter DeMarco said, I'm disgusted, but also happy to finally get to stop being the bad guy for absolutely refusing to let my 7-year-olds play PDF blocks. Parenting is wild in 2025. Boog says, Chippy hungers, Chippy shall feast. What was it? Yeah. Shoryo for 5 says, we need to laugh. Legal Minds, we need to explain insanity, please, so you can deal with it. Thank you, guys. Thank you for making me laugh when I'm getting kind of serious here. It's a serious topic, so, I'm trying to be serious here. But thank you for that. Space Duck says for 5, what the hell? I work with kids that play this game. How can they do this? It sounds like this has become a game made for grooming. And once again, it's a game with a gap. I'm not, once again, just because you've been on it once or twice doesn't mean you're necessarily a horrible person, or because your kid played it, it doesn't necessarily mean they've experienced this. However, they are at an undue risk, a risk which you are not properly warned of as a parent. In almost everything nowadays, there's a million warnings, right? Danger, right? You blah, 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 can happen, right? In fact, when you take medicine and you look at the warnings, most medicine you take puts there's also a slight risk of death, right? It's okay, well, at least you warned me. At least you told me. At least you said, okay, well, in 1 million people, this can kill one person. Okay, well, at least you told me. But there's no disclosure about these risks. None at all. And at the very least, there should be a disclosure. Hex and Amber for 26. Can the feds go after Roblox for violating the Federal Reporting Act? They must report it to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. Maybe. Once again, I think what we're going to see here, guys, is when the discovery comes out, more will come. Space Over 5 says, glad I managed to catch the stream. Otherwise, wouldn't have known. Good. I'm glad you guys learned. Spider-Bro for 499 says, sorry, I should have worded better. What I mean is a YouTube chat room for adults. Sex is censored, but in a game for kids, it wasn't. Yeah, I know. Once again, 18 plus platforms are often more strict than games for children, which is nuts. Cry Cabot for 5 says, people make games, made a video 3 years ago about a lot of these issues on Roblox within the 8 million views. Oh, cool. I'll check out that video. Okay, let's get to the law. First cause of action. Violating the Louisiana Unfair Trade Practices Act. Looped up. And remember, every state has one of these. They vary slightly, but I will tell you right now, every state can bring one of these claims if they want to. Every single one of the 50 states of the United States. So the plaintiff, Louisiana, on behalf of itself and its citizens, including minor children, seeks injunctive relief, which means stopping them from doing the thing, damages, meaning money, restitution money, and other equitable relief, such as disgorgement, fees, costs, and penalties against defendant under the Louisiana Unfair Trade Practices Act. Plaintiff, that is Louisiana, maintains that defendant, Roblox, businesses practices described above, including the inadequate safety controls and failure to provide notice of the risk of predators, were and are deceptive, unfair, unscrupulous, oppressive, contrary to established public policy, and substantially injurious to the public, including minor children and their parents, in violation of the act, including but not limited to who used and made purchases on Roblox. Citizens who purchased or allowed their minor children to make purchases are consumers under LUPTA. The state of Louisiana is a person under LUPTA. Citizens are engaged in consumer transactions under LUPTA. I believe that's correct procedurally. Defendant repeated and continuing violations of LUPTA include, but are not limited to, developing and marketing Roblox that lack safeguards and warning to protect children from predators, with the intention of upping usership and in-game purchases. Falsely and deceptively marketing and advertising Roblox by misrepresenting Roblox as safe for children, when in fact it is not. Directing conduct at minor children through defendant's advertising and marketing. Omitting and concealing and suppressing material facts in the advertising and marketing of Roblox as related to the risk of child predators. Defendants' unfair practices and acts led consumers to falsely believe it is safe for children. Defendant knew that leaving this impression and knew it was false. They developed it knowing it was dangerous for child users because it would increase subs and purchases. And at the end of the day, what did the company care about? Money. It's going to increase money. Money. They manipulated the public, including children, into using Roblox and making in-game purchases. And that harm is not outweighed by the benefit that was given there, which is unethical and against public policy and constitutes unfair acts and practices. So all of this together is an unfair trade practice. Okay. So they're asking for injunctive relief. They're asking for damages. But the next one, this one is negligence and public nuisance. This is great because public nuisance, once again, is used for stuff like dangerous playgrounds, dangerous pools, very comparable. So they're going to give the same facts. But the difference here is they say they lacked inadequate safety controls and failure to provide notice of the risk of predators, which is a public nuisance, and gives rise to the claim. And they give the same facts, right? They give the same facts, right? So just failing to hire moderators, failing to prevent failing to prevent registered sex offenders from making accounts. Registered sex offenders. Failing to require parental consent for minors, failing to ban user-to-user messages for accounts under the age of 13, failing to take any reasonable corrective measures whatsoever regarding the abuse of the interface until its financial success was threatened through a stock short sale. Yeah, they're factoring that in. Yeah, see, who brought up the stock? They're factoring in the stock. The stock is factored in. Oh, sorry. Did the Fast Stocks premiere? Oh, well, it's fine. It's fine. It's all good. Okay. Third cause, unjust enrichment. They allege all the same things, but they say they knowingly sold or caused Roblox to be sold to the citizens of Louisiana in a manner that was unfair, unconscionable, and oppressive. As a result of the wrongful conduct, they're not entitled to the funds. So because of that, they're asking for them to stop violating the law, which pretty much means stop operating. Next, to represent, they have to stop saying Roblox is safe. They have to stop saying Roblox is safe. That's massive. And then pay all the money. Damages, civil penalties, reimburse them for legal fees, everything else. They're going to go for a jury trial, which I think is appropriate. This needs to be a jury trial, and it's signed by the State Attorney General of Louisiana. That's the case. Hypnotic Rush says Roblox has run Discord that needs discovery. Oh, yeah. And Team Legendary, at least on Playground, you can see if it's unsafe. That's exactly right. And Hypnotic says Roblox Gilded is their Discord brand. Gross. Yes, it's pretty bad. So, guys, that's it for today. That's the Roblox lawsuit. I will wrap this one up. It's been long. It's been hard. But thank you guys for joining. We're going to cover, fun topics and other days. We're going to have tomorrow. We're going to laugh a lot during the Denims one. Thank you for being serious with me. Thank you for being respectful. It really means a lot to me. It's a serious topic, and it deserves an absolute laser that comes in and zaps out Roblox. Until next time, guys, take care. Peace.